Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Well, this today is what? Saturday. Yes, today is Saturday, and happy Saturday to you. Welcome to the platform of Project 365, where on Saturdays we yield the platform to the younger generation, or shall I, for me, it's the younger generation, the voice of the next generation. So it's amazing. I do know without a doubt that the next generation has a voice and they have something powerful that they can share. I am Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated. And we are happy that you have tuned in to hear what the next generation has to say. And on that note, I'm going to bring in the coordinator of the next generation, in the person of Miss Erin Wilson, and she's going to take it away.
Hi, everyone. Happy Saturday. It's Saturday. God brought us through this week. It is Saturday. God, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you comment, you like, and you subscribe, and also you share to your loved ones, because now the next generation, we do have a voice. And I'm getting ready to introduce none other than Ke Naya Green. Ke Naya is such an awesome person. I got to know her probably like just within like a few months, and our connection has been awesome. I love her. We have worship moments together. We do devotionals together, just having gradual conversation. And I'm glad to call her sister, friend. And I'm guys, like she also has a word in her mouth. Okay. She also does. So please let's release a platform for her to shed light to us so we can hear her voice. None other than Ke Naya Green. Take it away. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
That's great. I really just want to say thank you for the opportunity to have me on here to share my story, to share my experiences with whoever's watching, whether it be young or old. And my prayer from this is really that God just gets the glory, that someone gets something out of what I've dealt with, what I've experienced. So I've been asked to talk about self-hate and how I used to, and how I came out of homelessness during the pandemic. So for the longest time that I can remember, from the time I was a child until now, well, actually like a year ago, I dealt with self-hate heavy. And it came from my environment, really. There was a lot of people around me, family, friends, people in school, just everyone around me seemed like everyone hated me. Everyone didn't like me. People would tell me how much that they didn't like me, how much they wanted me to die, and just would wish all these awful things on me. And that I began to see myself in the same way that other people saw me. I really, I struggled with it for a long time, and I hated everything about myself. Like I said, from the time I was a small child, and it took a lot of therapy, a lot of prayer to come to a place where I no longer hate myself. And that actually started, I had to start little steps. I had to begin to like myself. I had to go from, I hate you, Ke Naya, to I like you. I like your eyes. I like your smile. Little things about myself, I had to tell myself, like, I like this. I like this. And then I got to a place where I could say, I love it. And then I got to a place where I loved me. And it didn't matter what anybody around me thought, but I loved me. I had to realize as a child that everybody else's experience of me, what I was in their eyes, didn't have anything to do with me. I had to realize that it wasn't me that people hated. It wasn't me that they disliked. It was things that they were dealing with within their own selves. And the children that I was around as a child, it wasn't that they knew exactly what they were saying, but they were mimicking what they would see their adult peers see or say to other people. So I had to realize that it really had nothing to do with me. And I didn't fully get out of that until I got into my homeless season, which started August of 2020. I was dealing with some family situations and it just didn't work out. And it got to a place where I just couldn't stay there any longer and I had nowhere else to go. So I'm praying and I'm like, God, why is this happening to me? Why me? Why do I have to be homeless? Why do I have nowhere else to go? It seemed like for the longest time, people kept saying, I'm here for you. Or if you need anything, call me. It doesn't matter what it is, but if you need something, call me. So I did. I needed a place to stay, but we were in a pandemic. And everybody's like, it's a risk. Like, I can't take you in because I have this, I have that. This person has surgery next week. So I just want to make sure that they're fine and I don't want to risk it. So it was like, it just seemed like everything was impossible at the moment. Like, I really had nowhere to go. There were times within this season that there was one day I was in Baltimore, the next day I was in PG, the next day I was somewhere else, and I just was like, I have no stable place to stay. And I was really worried because we are in a pandemic, and I was like, I don't want to catch COVID. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have anyone to go to at the moment. And it seemed like in 2019 and 2020, that all my relationships began to go downhill. It was like, I fell off with this person. I fell off with that person. This person abandoned me. That person abandoned me. And it was like, what is happening? But then I got to a place where I just called on God. I called on God every day and every day and every day. And I was like, I'm not going to stop until I see change. I'm not going to stop until something shifts. Like, I'm going to keep calling on you. The Bible tells us kind of to be childlike. So I was like, well, I'm going to be like a kid. Kids ask and ask and ask until they get it. So I'm going to do that. I was like, I'm going to ask and I'm going to ask and I'm going to ask. And I did. And I'm like, God, why? Why me? And I realized that he got me in something that I always said as a child. I used to tell people that because I grew up the way I grew up, and I kind of grew up in a home where I got materialistic things thrown at me, materialistic things and money. And it was kind of like, here, go do whatever. So it was like, I didn't grow up nurtured. I didn't grow up with that emotional connection to anyone, really. So I always would tell people, like, I don't care about this materialistic stuff. I would rather be homeless with a family that loves me than to be rich with no love. And God got me. He was like, I'm going to use the same thing that you said, and I'm going to take that. And it's not going to look the way that you want it to look, but you have me, and I'm everything that you need. And I am your family that loves you while you're homeless. I am your father. I am your mother. I am your protector. I am your provider. I am your brother, your sister, your friend. Whatever you need, I am. And I had to begin to realize that I was in this place, not because God wanted me to be homeless. He didn't want me in a low place, but he wanted me at a place where I could completely and fully depend on him. So going through all of this, there were so many people around me who were mad and upset at the situation, so many people who wanted to help. But then at a certain point, I was like, no, don't help. Like, not really don't help me, but I realized that it wasn't my time to be out of that season. I realized that in this season, God had me at a place where he needed me to know and understand who he called me to be. And it was my time to accept it. If I accepted it, great. You still got to go through this, but you're going to go through it and you're going to learn so much about yourself. You're going to learn who you are, why all these things happen to you as a child. You're going to learn everything, and everything began to make sense. I began to learn those things. I learned who I was, who he called me to be. And before this season, actually, a lot of people kept telling me, like, you're this, I can feel it, like, you're this. And I'm like, don't put that on me. I'm like, I don't want to be that because it's a lot of weight. I was like, that holds a lot of responsibility. I don't want to be that person. I'm like, nah, don't put that on me. Stop saying that. Stop saying that. You know how like church people will randomly call you like apostle or something like that? That's what it was for me. And I'm like, do not call me that. Like, don't even speak it into existence. So I got to a place where random people would tell me this. And I'm like, where are y'all getting this from? Like, really, where are you getting it from? So then I asked God, I'm like, God, am I really, like, is this really me? And he began to show me. He's like, yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And I was like, I don't think so. So he was like, nope, look again. And he kept showing me different scenarios where this was really who I was. So then when I began to accept it was when things started kind of shifting, and there were still periods where I was still alone and it was just me and God. But it was just me and God because I realized in my research on figuring out what these types of people go through, what they deal with, it was along the same lines of what I was dealing with. And then there was, in December, I want to say, God led me to a homeless shelter. And I did not want to go because through this whole season, I was in hotel after hotel after hotel, or I was staying with a friend. And I stayed with my friend for about a few weeks. And I slept on her floor. Her floor was hard and it hurt, but I was on the floor and I was in a building and I was safe. And I wasn't outside during this winter time. Like, it was cold. So I'm like, okay, I had a place to sleep though. So then when God led me to the homeless shelter, I'm like, why? Why? All these times from August to December, I went all this time without having to go to a homeless shelter. Why do you want me to go here? And I'm like, I don't want to do it. I was like, I don't want to do it. But God was like, didn't you just tell me that you will follow me wherever I lead you? And I was like, okay, you got me. So I went and I cried bad. I'm not a crier. It takes a lot for me to cry, and I will not cry in front of anybody. But on my way to this homeless shelter, I cried the whole way there. I got there, the lady was talking to me. I couldn't even like really listen to her because I was crying so much. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I was like, I don't know anybody here. Again, I was worried about COVID. I'm like, Lord, I went all this time without catching COVID. I don't want to catch it now because I'm in a shelter with a whole bunch of people that I don't know, that I'm just like, and I just have to be here. And to me, it felt like jail when I first went in there. It was like they had to check me. They had to search me, all my bags. They had to wash all my clothes. And I had a lot of clothes. So I was like, I got to do this every time I come in here. And it was like, yeah. So actually doing this, when I was going to the shelter, I was actually in the middle of fasting. And I was fasting with she's a well-known prophet on social media. Her name is Tiffany Montgomery, and she was holding corporate fast at this time. So I was fasting with her. And then that same night she had an event called Covered by God. And in that event, so I'm watching it and I'm like, okay. So she says something in this video, and she's like, the lowest function of a prophet is to prophesy, but their greatest responsibility really is to shift an atmosphere. So I began to realize, and I'm like, okay, I'm not in this place because God wants me to be at a lower place. I'm not here because he wants to see me fail, because he wants to see me somewhere like struggling. I'm like, no. I began to realize at that moment that I was there at the homeless shelter because I had purpose there. I had purpose there, whether it was for one night, for a week, 2 weeks, however long I was there, that was my purpose. My purpose was to shift that atmosphere. And I realized there, I'm big on intercession. So I realized there that my job was to pray. My job was to cover the girls in that shelter. And as I was doing that, they were all questioning me. They was like, are you reading the Bible? Like, are you literally sitting here reading the Bible? And I was like, yeah. And girls began to come up to me and they were questioning me. They was like, so I'm wondering this, I have this question, I have that question. I began to answer it to the best of my ability. And they were all like, well, I want this. I want what you have. I want what you have. And people around me couldn't understand why I had so much joy in my homeless season. And I'm like, it's not because of anything that I'm going through. I never understood the phrase, the joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, but the world didn't give it, so the world can't take it away. I didn't understand that until this exact season. And I was like, I don't know why I'm so happy, why I'm so joyful in this whole season, and people really saw that. And then the next day I left the shelter and I never went back. And God actually delivered me from having to be at that shelter. He gave me a home to stay at, rent free, a whole house. Now I don't live here by myself, but I'm in a house and I'm here rent free. And God took me from that. And he was like, you did what I needed you to do. You followed me where I led you. You diligently sought me out. And that's the encouragement that I have for today is no matter what season you are in, no matter what you're going through, no matter what it looks like in front of you, even if it looks like an impossible situation, trust God, keep your focus on God and diligently seek him. Don't diligently seek him because you want something from him, but because you want to know him, but because you want to have a better relationship with him. And that right there will get you everything that you need. It will take you to places that you couldn't do on your own. It'll put you in doors in people's minds that don't even know you. Because who I live with, I don't know them personally, but it got to the place where my name was in doors that I had never been to, places that I had never known, places that I could never go on my own. My name was there, and God has set up these things in front of me. So that is my piece of encouragement. And as for the self-hate piece, just continue to do things with yourself. You need to continue to learn yourself. It doesn't matter what it looks like now, like I said, but you can always get to that place. Pray about it. No prayer is too dumb. There's no dumb prayer. If you pray, God, I want longer hair, pray that. God, I don't want to hate myself anymore, then do that. And I had to realize that because God is love and God loves me, why can't I love myself?
Beautiful, beautiful. One more time, tell me what were the baby steps that you took during that time that you hated yourself? What were those little steps?
I would do little things like find out things that I like. So I realized that I really like nature. I would go sit outside, whether it's outside on the front porch for 30 minutes to an hour. I would go sit outside and I would just admire the sky. I would admire the trees, the grass. I would do those little things, or I would just look in the mirror and I'd be like, I really like your eyebrow shape. I love your eye color. I love your eyelashes. I love your lips. And I would do those little things. And as I began to do that, I began to love myself more. And I would tell myself, I talk to myself. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I talk to myself, whether people are around me or not. I will talk to myself and I will answer myself. So I would say things like, Kanaya, I love you. Today, I love you, Kanaya. Like, I love you. I wasn't waiting for nobody else to tell me that they love me. I love you. So those were little steps that I took to do things like that.
Yes, those like, reassurance, those positive affirmations that we tell ourselves, that's what, because, people may not tell us that, but we have to be able to make that choice when we wake up and look in the mirror. Hey, I love you. I love you. And it's crazy. And going back to what you were saying, it kind of brought me back to the scripture, kind of like, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not your own understanding, but so it's like he's given us this plan. Like he birthed it, giving us this plan, and it's gonna be purpose filled. And you had purpose being in those spots. And like you said, that it was your purpose to be there, to pray for them, to and also shed light, because that's, I think, Matthew 5:13, something like that. Listen, like you shed light to your counter, to the people who are around you, and that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing.
And another little step that you could do to loving yourself a bit more, hug yourself, touch yourself, hug yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with caressing your skin, holding your own hand. It's nothing wrong with those little things. And it doesn't make you look dumb. You have to date yourself before you can even expect anybody else to date you.
And that's also called self-care.
That part.
When you date yourself, that's called self-care. Listen, have a glass of wine if you need to, okay? Yeah, I'm turning 23, okay, everyone? Just to let you know. Get a glass of wine. Have a glass of wine. Sit back, give yourself a bath. Take yourself. Hey, you don't have to with everybody, and that starts with knowing who you are and also loving yourself. Taking those baby steps to get to know yourself so that you can love yourself and you don't have to wait for anybody to love you.
Right.
That self-care piece is awesome. And that's what everybody needs, even from our older generation all the way down to younger generation.
And it never stops. It never stops.
It never stops. Everyone needs that self-care, and everyone needs that giving that positive affirmations to each other. And even if you need help with positive affirmation, I would say, get a mirror, right? And you have a lipstick. Probably write lipstick on your mirror and start, or if you have sticky notes, you can place sticky notes on your mirror and you can read it each and every day. Oh, you're beautiful. You're
and there
awesome.
are podcasts that give you self-affirmation. There are a lot of podcasts, actually, excuse me. There are a lot of different ways, especially if you just look on social media. There are things like, I know on Instagram, on your Explore page, things like that will pop up all the time, and I'll take time to read them because why not? Why not?
Awesome. Kanaya, you share some great nuggets. You share some great nuggets that even though like you don't like the situation that you're in, however, purpose for you. It's purpose for you to be at the exact same because you don't know who you're going to touch. You don't know who you touch at all, or who you want or anything. And I thank you once again. Thank you for coming on this platform and sharing what you have to share. Trust me, our older generation as well as our younger generation are listening, and we understand. And I want to say thank you again. Thank you so much. And for all our listeners and our viewers, again, please like, please comment, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure you share when you're on Facebook, and join us right back here tomorrow with our next guest. Again, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Oh,
Have
wait
a
minute.
good one as well. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.